Hello friends, welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for all your support. Today we're going to be making delicious cinnamon rolls with cream cheese frosting. They are really great for breakfast and for dessert and snack. So we're going to be starting off with 1.5 cup of warm milk. I heated up the milk in the microwave for about a minute so it's warm. And I'm going to add 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, and I'm using active dry yeast that is going to go into the milk to dissolve. If you are using instant yeast, you can put it directly into the flour. So that's 4.5 teaspoons of active dry yeast. I'm going to stir that until the yeast dissolves. I'm also going to be adding 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I'll also mix that to dissolve before I add it to the flour. And I've added 1/2 cup of melted butter. Mix all the wet ingredients together. And that is 6 cups of all-purpose flour. I'll create a well in the middle and just pour in the wet ingredients. I'm also going to be adding 4 large eggs and mix everything together. So that's it for the ingredients. We'll just mix until everything comes together. So I'm now going to use my hands to knead it. I'll pour it onto the countertop and knead it until the dough comes together. It's good to sprinkle a little bit of flour on the counter so it's not sticking, so the dough is not sticking to the counter. So I'm showing you how I am kneading the dough. So you see the dough is still a little bit sticky, just a little bit sticky. You don't want it too dry, else you have dry cinnamon rolls. So I'm going to stop mixing or kneading at this point, and I'm just oiling the bowl before I put the dough inside so it doesn't stick. You can use oil, or in this case I used butter to oil the bowl. I'll cover it with plastic wrap and a towel to keep it warm and let it rise for at least an hour. After it rises, it's going to double in size. So I'm going to put that in a warm area. I actually heated my oven just a little bit for about 5 minutes and turned it off so it's nice and warm. Then I put the dough in there. I've oiled my pans and now I'm preparing the filling for the cinnamon rolls. That's 2 cups of brown sugar, and I'm going to be adding 4 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and I'll mix those together for the filling. So I'm just mixing all those together. I'll set that aside for the filling after we roll the dough. So we're just doing a sneak peek. That's just about 30 minutes into the rising. Now it has risen for 1 hour and you see it has doubled in size. You see it's nice and soft. I'm going to put that onto my counter and divide it into 2, because this recipe I made is like a double recipe, so I'm going to divide it into 2 before I roll it out. So I'm going to cover the other part in plastic wrap and set it aside. You wrap it so it doesn't dry out. I'm just going to roll that dough into a rectangular shape. Use some muscle. almost getting there. So I roll it out really thinly. So now it is ready for the filling. So for the filling, I first brushed the dough with some butter. I just melted about half a cup of butter, and I'm applying it to the dough before we put on the cinnamon and sugar mixture so it sticks to the dough. So now it's the fun part. We're putting this cinnamon and sugar mixture. I have a little helper there helping me with that. So much fun to do with kids. So put as much or as little as you want, depending on your preference. If you like a lot of cinnamon, you can even add a little bit more cinnamon powder if you really love cinnamon flavor. So now it's time to roll. So my little girl is helping me. We're rolling it. You just roll it over and make sure the seam side is at the bottom. And then I'm going to cut it up. So I just try to cut it into even parts. I start in the middle and just keep cutting until they are like equal parts. I was aiming for 12 slices, but I ended up having like 16 because exactly 12 will fit in that 13 by 9 pan. So you can cut them as little or as big as you like. If you like really big cinnamon rolls, you can leave them like they are and not cut them as small as I did, but I just wanted them smaller. So we're going to put them into the pan. See how nice the rolls look. We're going to put them in the pan and leave some space in between each one, in between the buns, because they are going to rise. We're going to cover them again and let them rise until they are double in size again. So you need to leave some space in between them. So I put about 3 in each row and then 4 on the other side. So there are about 12 in that pan. And then we're going to cover it again in plastic wrap and put it aside to rise again. So it's like a double rising dough. Put the rest in the second pan, and I'm going to roll the rest of the dough that I left, that I kept aside, and do the same thing, the same procedure. So I'm adding just a little bit of flour on the counter so it doesn't stick on the counter, but I don't want the dough to dry, so I don't add too much. Cinnamon rolls are so good for this weather, this cold weather. The smell of cinnamon baking is just so good. And then if you eat it and drink some hot coffee or tea or even hot chocolate, oh, so good. I love it. So I'm applying the butter again. At this point, the butter has hardened a little bit. I melted it and it got so liquidy on the first one. Yeah, my second helper is helping too. They love helping around the kitchen. So just roll it again and then cut it same as the first one and put it in the pan. So I did that. I had a little extra, so I put it in this small cake pan, 8-inch cake pan. And then we'll cover that and let it rise. So here I'm just showing you after 1 hour, this is how it looks. And then I put it in the oven. I already preheated my oven to 350 degrees. And the buns have baked. And look how beautiful they look. Nice and brown with those swirls. I just love the swirls. So we're going to be decorating this with cream cheese frosting. So we're using whole fat cream cheese. Full fat cream cheese, not the spread, not the cream cheese spread. So I'm using 1 cup of unsalted butter and 250 grams of cream cheese. I like to just cut that up with a knife so it's easier to beat it. We will also be using powdered or icing sugar. So I'll start by beating the butter and the cream cheese until they soften. We'll scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl. So I'll scrape again and then I'll start adding the icing sugar. I'm just using a cup to add. We'll use about 3.5 cups of icing sugar or powdered sugar. So I'm mixing with my spatula first so the sugar doesn't splash around the counter. So keep adding and beating and scraping the bowl until we are all done. Until we have a nice creamy icing. So now I'm adding 2 tablespoons of vanilla and 1 teaspoon of salt. And I noticed that the icing is really thick, so I'm adding some milk to loosen it up to make it lighter. Since we're putting it on cinnamon rolls, we don't want it too thick. So I added about 2 tablespoons of milk. And now you see the icing is nice and soft and smooth and creamy. I'm happy with the consistency now, so I'll just beat it a little bit more and we're done. You see how creamy and soft it looks? That's really good. Now I'm just going to put some on top of the cinnamon rolls. I'm going to ice just one of the pans. I don't want it too sweet, so I'll leave the other one without the icing. So just apply it as much or as little as you like. And that's it. That's how you make cinnamon rolls with cream cheese frosting. So delicious, so good. I hope you get in the kitchen and try making some. So now we are going to try some. You're going to see how airy and soft it looks on the inside. And that nice cinnamon and brown sugar color. Look at how brown it looks. And it's so nice and soft and airy. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please like, subscribe and share. Thank you.